Hey there, I've been really excited to film this video just about my journey of meditation over the last 40 days. So if you guys haven't watched my previous YouTube videos, I've been documenting every 10 days what it's been like. I set out on this journey to meditate for 40 days straight, which I hadn't done previously. A little bit of background about this is I heard of Joe Dispenza and started kind of reading his works and practicing his works back in, I want to say it was 2021. And I've never been consistent with my meditations. There'll be times where I'll meditate pretty consistently for a week or two, and then things will go well and I'll stop, or the opposite of I'll meditate for a week or two and then things aren't working out. So I kind of lose faith and quit. But I set out on this journey really to focus on just the self-discipline and creating this practice without expectations and meditating for 40 days straight and just being really open and honest about how the meditation's going, what's changed in my life, if I think this is worth it. And I wanted to film this so that you guys have a really good idea of, what the first 40 days of meditation's like, what it's like doing it consecutively, what the outcome has been, and how it's just changed me as a person and changed me as a business owner, or maybe if it hasn't. So anyway, I'll go through all of the data here. I'll go through how I'm feeling after the 40 days. I actually completed it last Thursday. So I completed it on August 29th, and today is September 5th that I'm filming this. So I've had some time to really process and give you the best data that I can around meditation and just how I'm feeling. So let's go ahead and get started. So reflection on the experience, I think it was a really humbling experience. I came into it kind of thinking that I was really close to some goals, or I just needed to focus on some things and they would happen. So previously, when I have meditated, one of the things that I meditated the most on was getting clients for my business. And I started this as a new business owner. And what I would do is, if I was in a kind of like downward slump in my business and I really needed clients, I would go to meditation and I would think about getting ideal clients, sit with myself, and inevitably, most times I did pretty quickly. And then I would get busy with work again and stop meditating altogether. And the reason why I think this happened is because I was just sitting with myself during that time and really concentrating on like, what are ways I could get clients? How could I serve people? And had the intention of getting clients, but I think everything else was aligning for me as well. Like, I was getting clients because I had space in my business to get clients. I was getting clients because I was aligned with, making more money or taking on new projects. So it wasn't this really big emotional experience. It was more so like, hey, I'll just fill my time with meditation. This time it was really different because I was meditating on completely different things. And the other thing I'll say is I kind of got into Dr. Joe Dispenza's work around meditation because I saw the signs of how it improved people's health. And when I first got into this, it was my first time kind of connecting the mind-body connection and just how much our thoughts can affect our health. And at that point, I was at a pretty low point on my health journey and didn't really see that there was any options for me to move forward, and just kind of felt helpless and hopeless. So it's not something I've ever really stuck with in terms of meditation either. And I wasn't meditating on that specifically this time either. But if you guys watch the other videos, you'll see that some of my health data improved, including lowering my heart rate, increasing my HRV. And so that's been really interesting. And so I do want to keep tracking that data and reflecting on it. But the reason why I say that it's humbling is because kind of a couple areas that I came into this experience wanting to meditate about, I realized how far away I am from them in these 40 days. So you're sitting with yourself for 30 hours. So I did 45-minute meditations for 40 days, which is 30 hours of just sitting with yourself, no distractions. So you really have to feel those feelings. And you really have to dive deep into bringing up those emotions within yourself. And I think what I realized is, even though I could do 45 minutes where I'm sitting with myself and I am producing all these emotions around these outcomes that I want in my life, really, like, that's 45 minutes out of 24 hours. So what am I doing the other 24 hours in the day? Are my actions lining up with the things I say that I want? And are my thoughts lining up with the things that I say I want? And my conclusion was no, because I started actually typing out some of my thoughts. And my thoughts were pulling me in the total opposite direction of the things I want. And so I realized that there's so much more work to be done on myself, and that I'll get to the point where these things come into my life, but I think it's more so about me rather than like, oh, I need this thing to come in my life. Like, no, I need to be the one to change. I need to be the one to reflect on my thoughts, change my thoughts, take any necessary action, because I'm not the kind of person who's just saying like, hey, I think about it and it happens. Like, some things are like that for sure, but I think some things you do have to take action on as well. So I want my actions, my thoughts, and my intentions to all just be in line. And that's a really hard thing to do. Yeah, and it's just revealed areas where I can personally grow. So that's where I'm at right now, is just really having that spark and desire to make more changes in my life, more improvements. And it's really starting with just the thoughts that I think, and being able to, when I'm thinking negative thoughts or thinking thoughts in opposition to what I want, being able to change those into things that I do want. And I think the other thing is my actions, and making sure that everything I'm doing very consciously, and that it aligns with my goals as well. So that's a big reflection on the 40 days. Like I said, very humbling. I think I wouldn't say I'm further away from where I was, but I think I realize how much more work I need to do. Where before, I think I came into it a little bit arrogant of, hey, if I just focus on this, it'll happen. But I think there's so much more to it than just focusing on it for 45 minutes a day, even though that's a great start. So, yeah, going back to my original goals, I set a personal goal, which was more so around relationships. And then I set a financial goal as my intentions for this challenge. But these external goals, like, I realized just shouldn't be my focus, because as my thoughts change, I'll have those relationships that are really positive with people, instead of having negative thoughts and then attracting, not the right people into my life, or having current relationships just not be as fruitful as they could be. And then the financial goals, again, I think it is, what am I thinking about daily? What am I doing daily? Like, is a person that I am someone that can hit those financial goals? And I just realized a lot of area for opportunity there. And so I think that in this next phase of the journey, it's going to be really about these personal shifts. And these goals are going to be the byproduct of that, versus those coming and then something changed. Like, I have to change internally first. So definitely shifted my perspective on that. And I think the biggest thing that I've learned during this is just the awareness of repetitive thought patterns. So it's said that I think it's 90 to 95% of the thoughts we think are the same as the day before. And so you have to change your thoughts before things change in your life. So during this challenge, I actually took a week and wrote down every thought that I was thinking, not every thought I was thinking, but like every thought that I was thinking that just didn't make me feel good or didn't align with my goals. And I did look through at the end of the week, and it was super repetitive in terms of themes. And I think that was so good for me to realize that, hey, even though I did choose this thought at one point, really, when we go into the neurochemistry of it all, like, my brain is wired to be thinking this thought every day. So now I just don't make it mean a lot. I am like, oh, okay, my brain is wired to have that thought, but that doesn't mean I need to pay attention to it. That doesn't mean that I need to take action on it. It just means that that's what's been running the program. And so I need to work extra hard if I want a different outcome. So for example, what you could do is, like, if you have a thought and it's a thought of anger, but and like that's what your brain has been wired to over the last however many years. Like you just have to do the opposite. So it's like you're angry, but like what are you grateful for? So when you have that angry thought, you have to like drown it out in something completely different. So anyway, like I'm just really aware of what those patterns are now and what my area of opportunity is to work on. And so that does take a while. And so right now, I think I'm just in the process of which patterns do I want to break and what do I want my pattern in my brain to be instead. And these are things that are ingrained in us like in childhood or, you know, years and years of programming. And so, yeah, it's just really about you have to have awareness first and then you have to like consciously make that choice. And also understanding of focusing what is in my control and then really surrendering and letting go the things that aren't. So for example, I'll just use the example of applying for a job. So there's a lot of things that are in your control, right? Like how you write your resume, what companies you apply for, how your cover letter is, how you interview. But at the end of the day, whether you get the job or not is going to be in somebody else's hands. So you have to focus on like, okay, did I write the resume to the best of my abilities? Okay, check. Did I write the cover letter to the best of my abilities? Okay, check. But then you have to release it as well. And that's something that I really, really struggle with is that like releasing the control and not obsessing over things that I can't change. Like I can't change whether someone wants to hire me or not. But what I could do is during that time period, focus on other things I could control. Is it applying for other jobs? Is it focusing on my daily routine, focusing on my health? So I think we have a lot more power than we think we do because there is a lot of things that are in our control. But I think for me, what I've been so focused on is like the things that are outside of my control. And so I think meditation's been really great with that because you can think about those in a positive light, the things that are out of your control, and then really be able to release them. And then, you know, the rest of the day focused on the things that you can control. So that's been a huge revelation for me to really start focusing on the things that are in my control. And it makes me feel so much more productive. And also knowing that there is a higher power taking care of the things that aren't in my control. And I've sent it a good intention and have taken the necessary actions to get there, as well as changing my thoughts around it. And the rest, you have to release control over. So that's been huge for me. Okay, next thing is shift in priorities and long-term goals. So it's been really interesting for me. A lot of things I like to see quick wins, or I think that I should get somewhere by a certain date or by a certain time in my life. But what I've really realized is that, okay, I can release the outcome of this, of when it happens, and just know that I'm on the path for it to happen and it'll happen on its right timing. So in the business world, for example, we hear a lot about hitting certain revenue months or hitting a certain revenue goal for the year. And I was so attached to that it kind of blocks everything else. Like what if instead of hitting that revenue goal this year, I hit it in 3 years? Like it's still a positive and I'm still getting there at each and every moment. And it's still a goal that I'm going to achieve. I'm just letting go of the timeline. Or my YouTube channel, like when it grows, how many subscribers I have, like again, maybe it takes years to get there, but like you could still get there. And so I think I've just been more patient around longer timelines and not trying to force things to happen and like getting in that, I don't know, I don't want to say masculine energy, but getting in that like energy where you have to force it to happen, but really just being able to get there in its own timing. And I realize how much of a beginner I am in this work as well. Like I think that internally I thought of myself of like, oh yeah, my mindset's pretty good. I'm super into personal development, I'm really into the work. And again, sitting with myself over 40 days, I really realized how much opportunity for growth I have and how many things I still need to work on, and how in the grand scheme of things, I'm completely at the beginning of this journey too. Alrighty. So I think it's really helped. I know that in the first few videos I was saying like, I thought that my focus was going to be there. I thought that this was going to make me more productive, and it wasn't happening. And what I will say is that over the 40 days, there were some times where the meditation was super good and I dropped into it and it was exactly what I needed. And there were days where I was fighting myself tooth and nail just to sit down and not grab my phone and not get up and do things and not stop the meditation because my mind was racing. So I think that's completely normal. And I think that it's just practice. It's a new skill. 40 days is just a drop in the bucket. So I really learned over this to have patience. I definitely feel like I have more patience with myself as well as other people and just processes in life, because I have to be patient with myself enough to sit down for 45 minutes. And just more self-acceptance with myself too. Because I notice that these feelings that maybe I don't want to feel, or that I'm using my phone to distract or whatnot, like, they make sense, and yet I could sit with myself and I can see a more positive future and I can change these. And there's a lot more control that I have over what's happening in my life than I think. Even though there are things outside of our control, I can choose my thoughts, I can choose how I feel. And so that's been really interesting and exciting. All right, so this has affirmed to me that I don't want to do just 40 days of meditation. This has got to be like a life commitment of really just doing this every single day. I think that things don't really shift if you do things in little periods. So if you think about, for example, working out, like, it doesn't matter if you go hard at the gym for 2 weeks and then quit, and then go hard at the gym in another 6 months for 2 weeks and then quit. It's that steady progression over time. And that's where really the big change is coming. And that's what I'm kind of seeing is I do see things shifting, but I think it's gradually over time instead of right away or like a huge event happening. So that's where I'm at. I think that I really do want to make a long-term commitment with this and commit to doing this every day, because I think 6 months down the road, like, there's going to be huge things that I see change that I have to be consistent with. And the other thing I do want to say about this that I've been thinking about is, so sometimes, like, what I've heard is, I'm just going to give an example. So if someone is like having a panic attack, or if someone's like in a deep crisis or triggered, like, that is not the time to start meditating, in my opinion. Like, maybe it is good, but for me, like, your emotions are so heightened in that time period, like, you need something else, like a counselor or therapy or, a different coping mechanism. But if you've been meditating for, years or months or weeks even, and then something like that happens, then meditation's a tool for you, versus it being like it can't be there for an urgent situation if it's not already something that calms you. I think that when you are in this practice and something does come up, it is comforting. So that's the other thing I'll say is, like, again, I tried to use this as like, my life is falling apart and then now I'll meditate, versus I'm going to do this no matter what. And it's something that does calm me down when things are more stressful in my life or things aren't going the way that I planned. It's finding my center again, versus like trying to use it in a situation that, like, I have no foundation for. So I was just going to throw that out there because I think it's something that before, like, I was told to meditate in situations where it was like there was no way I was going to meditate. But now I think if I were to encounter those situations again, meditation would be helpful, because it's a practice I've built and it is something that, like, I can sit with myself and that does calm me down. So that's just a little aside that I wanted to put in here. All right, so the next phase of this journey for me that I'm really excited about is I'm going to do another 40-day series where I concentrate on one meditation for 40 days, and it's going to be Reconditioning Your Body to a New Mind, also by Dr. Joe Dispenza. And I'm really excited for this because it's very self-focused, so it's not necessarily like the last one, tuning into new potentials. I was trying to pick 2 potentials that, like, could happen, really more so about going and being with yourself and transforming those thoughts of like, how could you be more courageous? How could you be, how could you surrender more? And so I think that'll be really good for where I'm at in the journey and just focusing on what I can control in my thoughts and everything like that. So I'm really eager to explore this new phase, and I'll be giving you guys updates. I don't think I'm going to do every 10 days like I did in this series, because I think that first little bit, I just wanted to like really document it. This one, I might do like a check-in halfway through and then another check-in at the end, just to kind of give my thoughts and opinions on this specific meditation, as well as going from 40 days to 80 days. I think there's still going to be massive transformation to be had. I think I'll still be seeing changes within myself, and I think it'll be really exciting in the future to look back on these videos and see the progress I've made and where 40 to 80 days has taken me. And then, like I said, I think overall, someone asked me, like, on a scale of 10, like, how great, like, are you grateful that you did this? Like, how impactful was it? And I would definitely say 10 out of 10. You learned so much more about yourself, and yeah, it's not the outcome that I was necessarily expecting, but it's the outcome that I needed. And I'm just really thankful that I stuck with it and did the whole challenge. And so I'd love to hear if you guys like these videos, if you want to hear more about my meditation journey, if you're thinking of meditating, or if you already are, and how it's impacted, you know, your life, your health, your relationships. And I'm just going to keep posting about this. So if there's any questions you guys have, please let me know, and I'm happy to answer them in another video. But overall, thank you guys for being here. Please like if you want to see more meditation videos, and subscribe to stay tuned on the journey. Thank you so much, and I'll see you in the next video.